guys, we are doing something a little bit different today. I am going to show you my testosterone routine. I figured it could be an interesting video. Maybe not a lot of people know how to do it. I'm not a doctor. I'm not telling you this is how you should do it. This is how I do it. Always take advice from your doctor. Please. One thing I want to make sure that I'm making clear is I am not a doctor, okay? This is just something that I've been doing for the past, 6 years now? And I've learned a few tricks. So I take the 18 gauge needle, which is a little bit thicker. Pull back the plunger to about one milliliters. Stick it in. Push the air back in because that puts the pressure into the bottle. So that when you go to pull because the liquid is really thick, it's an oil. So it's kind of hard to pull back. If you get a skinny needle, like an insulin syringe, it's impossible. It's really thick. It's an oil, like I said, it's an oil. So as you see it, I don't know if you can see it, but it's just with the 18 gauge needle, it's just pulling it back instantly. Now I only take 0.5 a week. I was taking a full bottle, which would be a milliliter a week, but I stopped. 200 milligrams a week for me. I was needing to get phlebotomies way too often. And phlebotomies are where they need to drain your blood because you produce too much red blood cells. So testosterone will, with most people, make your bone marrow produce too much red blood cells. It just makes your blood thicker, right? You're more likely to have a stroke, have a heart attack, have those kind of things. So you go in and you get, I think it's a pint, a liter. I don't know. These things I can never remember. But they pull it. It's the same exact thing as drawing blood for donating. They take the same amount. So what I do from here is I take the 18 gauge, I pull it back so there's some air still left, put the cap back on, unscrew the cap, and then I put on this 22 gauge, which is much thinner. A lot thinner, because when you're putting it into your leg, you don't want to be putting an 18 gauge needle into your leg. It's it's like getting a piercing, like an 18 gauge piercing. That's gonna hurt really, really bad, and it's also gonna dig out a really big chunk of your skin, and it's not healthy. And all that scarred tissue, it's just not healthy for you. So, and one thing that I do differently than a lot of other people do is I do mine in my leg. I like to do it in the leg. I don't like to do it in the arm. I don't like to do it in the butt. These are just my preferences. But the leg just feels easier. Plus I have relatively thick legs. That's one thing that my genetics didn't fail me on. My biceps are garbage. Everything else super hard to just get going right. But my legs have always been something that I can grow pretty well. At least for my age, for what I do, for how much I lift. I have relatively strong and thick legs. So it's just easier for me to put it into my legs. Now, we want to make sure that there's no air in the syringe. So when you're pulling this syringe back and pushing it up to put it into your leg, you do not want any air bubbles. You want to make sure that all the air bubbles are gone. You're pushing it up through the needle and you see the oil start to come out, okay? Then what you do, you relax your leg, grab a chunk of your leg, gather up that strength, and stick it in. And you push slowly. So when you're pushing this liquid in, you don't just want to jam it into your leg. Okay, guys? This is, and sometimes an interesting thing will happen. You'll hit a nerve, and it's a really weird feeling when you hit a nerve in your leg, because it jolts the muscle. It just hits this electricity in your leg, and it's kind of scary. When I first started doing this, I was taught by a nurse. I said, no, I don't want to come in weekly. She was like, you can come in weekly to do this. I said, no, I'm not doing that. Teach me how to do it, and I'm going to go home and do it myself. So she taught me how to do it. I stick it into the main, off to the side part of my quad, where most of my meat is, away from kind of my main arteries and all of that stuff. And when I'm pulling it out, I pull it out very slow. Because one thing that I've noticed is if I pull the needle out quick, the fluid follows. And I lose a little bit of that fluid when I pull it out too quick. So I just take my time, be patient. There's no rush. Just take it easy. Pull it out. Now, sometimes you'll get blood. I got a little bit of blood this time. What I do is I put the alcohol patch over it, and then I kind of just massage that area a little bit to get the juice kind of flowing through the leg a little bit, moving, pumping through the muscle, and then it can go into the bloodstream and do its thing. I'm not going to sit here and get scientific and explain to you how testosterone moves through the body, and that's not what I'm here for. I just thought it would be something interesting and fun and different to do. Show you guys my routine of putting in my testosterone. It's just something that we have to do the older we get. I had to start doing it a little bit earlier than most. Unfortunately, I started doing mine, probably around 35. It just wasn't growing. Everything I was doing, I was pumping, I was working hard, I was consistent, I was eating well, and I just wasn't growing. And I waited and I waited and I waited, and finally I said, you know what? I'm going to talk to my doctor. We did a testosterone test, and I was at 202, which, if anybody knows, it's really, really low, guys. 202 is really, really low. See, I got no blood coming out, feeling pretty good. Throw my pants on. I'll put a Band-Aid on here in a second. But yeah, 202 is really, really low. Right now, I'm sitting at about I think my last test was 585, which is good. You want to be right in the middle, guys. I'm telling you, the older you get and you're not looking to step on stage, you're just looking to feel better, looking to get a little bit of a pump in the gym, feel good about yourself, feel confident. You want to be in that middle range, man. I was up in the at one point I was somewhere around 15. So I was somewhere around 15. I cut out there, guys. I apologize. I was somewhere around 1500 at one point, and then I was 12, and I got myself down to 1,000, and I would just hover in those digits, those high digits, and honestly, I didn't feel better. I felt heavy. I didn't feel good. My estrogen was too high. My estrogen was like in the 60s. Now my estrogen's anywhere between 35 to 45, where it should be about 25 to 30. So it's a little high, but it's a lot better. And I'll tell you, man, when your estrogen is high and you're in those big ranges, man, I'm an emotional mess. I'm crying and everything. It's real. It's not a joke. When you're in those high numbers, you get emotional. And everybody's different. I'm talking for me. There are people that can. I mean, Ronnie Coleman was a guy. From what I've heard, I don't know the guy, but Ronnie Coleman handled his juice and everything he was doing like a champ. Like, it didn't affect his body at all. He was him. Didn't change him at all. I'm a little bit more sensitive with meds, and it kind of gets me into a place where I'm a little bit more emotional. I'm a little bit more reactive, and nobody likes me when I'm like that. I don't like me when I'm like that. So I wanted to bring it down to a more healthy level, and I talked with my doctors, and so we're at a healthy level now. Doctors want to tell you to stay around the 1,000 range. Do what feels right for you. Do what feels right for you and your emotions and what your body's going through and what your blood work says. Don't let these doctors try to convince you to take more, to sell you more. Do what feels right for you. Do everything medically that they tell you to do, how to take it, all that stuff. But these clinics, I go to actually a really good clinic. I get my testosterone through my doctors, so I don't get my testosterone through the clinic. But I do Sumorlin, I do HCG. If you want to know anything, look those up. The HCG helps my balls, because your balls get small because you stop producing your own testosterone, so your balls get small. So it brings your LH levels up. And it helps you produce your own natural sperm. Because when you're on testosterone, you basically become infertile. And I would love to have kids someday, and if that chance comes along, I don't want my swimmers all messed up. So I take some HCG, and then the Sumorlin is a peptide that is a secretagogue that helps release growth hormone. It's more of a natural one, the Sumorlin. They've been using it for a long time. It's a little bit safer. I haven't had any bad reactions. I do pretty well on the Sumorlin, and my HG1 numbers, I think that's what they call it. I think I'm around 185, so anything below like 350, you're good. So I'm doing good with my growth hormone levels. I could actually go a little higher. I want to be a little higher, but it's expensive. Like, I don't have money to pay for more of it. I'm already paying $175 a month just for the Sumorlin and the HCG, and then the testosterone. But yeah, anyway, guys, if you found this interesting, if you felt like I did anything weird, or you were like, that was stupid, or I do it differently. Hit me in the comments. Let me know how you do it. I just thought it was something interesting. I've seen a couple people do it, and it's funny how we all do things differently. Everybody I've watched does it differently than the other person. I do it differently than they do, and you learn what works best for you, and you do what feels safe and best for you, and learn what your nurse or your doctor taught you, and then just safely kind of move forward in what feels best for you. And that's what I did, and that's what you just witnessed. Again, if you guys have any questions, hit me up, like, subscribe, do all the good stuff. Got some cool things coming. I'm gonna do a podcast. I'm gonna talk more about it on something else, but I got some cool stuff coming. I have some ideas, and I'm very excited about it. So, look out for that. I love you all. God bless. Yeah, have a great day.